Hello beautiful friends, my name is Brittany, this is Rescues and Reads. Welcome to another Bookmas video. I am so glad this video found you because today I am announcing a year-long reading challenge that is going to begin in 2026 that is designed as another fun way to help you lower your physical or your virtual TBR, and it is going to be called TBR Takedown. Now in full transparency, this challenge is not entirely my brainchild. I have mentioned this casually in some other videos, but I am currently the sole moderator for a book club on Goodreads. It is called the Bookworm Bitches Book Club. This book club has actually been around for many years. I would say it's been around for at least 13 years at this point. I joined a couple of years ago and I was just a normal member, but then they put out a call for people to help moderate the group. I went ahead and answered that. They made me moderator, and shortly thereafter, everybody else kind of dropped off and I became the only active moderator in the group. And so I kind of took that as an opportunity to make some changes to try to help modernize the group and help it grow and become of more interest to more people. And when I was doing that and I was going through all of the past discussion boards and trying to get everything cleaned up and organized, I realized that in the past, they had done something called the TBR Takedown Challenge. Now, every single year in this group, there are specific quarterly and yearly reading challenges, and it looked like this TBR Takedown was part of the yearly challenges in the past, and I don't know why they stopped doing them, but I thought it was a really fun, simple way to help people find books on their TBR to read, and I went ahead and decided to bring it back for the group. And then I decided that it might be fun to also go ahead and bring to BookTube in 2026 because it is currently all the rage, right? These projects where people are finding new and creative ways to choose books from their physical TBR in an effort to lower down that number. And so that is why I'm going to be bringing it here for y'all. Again, as I mentioned, it is a year-long reading challenge. So there is 52 prompts equating to roughly one prompt per week for the year. And before I go ahead and quickly run through all of the different prompts, I do want to kind of go through some of the few but simple rules that I have set for this challenge. Now, obviously the entire goal, the entire purpose of this challenge is to help you lower down your physical TBR. So the intention is that you are not going out and buying books or borrowing books even to satisfy the prompts for this challenge. You are meant to already own the books, whether they are physically on your TBR, on like a Kindle TBR or something to that effect. Ideally, I would prefer if you are using books that you purchased prior to 2026, simply because I'm all about reading what you already have, right? Loving what you already have without focusing on the new and the shiny. But of course, if you do buy something in 2026 that you haven't already read, that is naturally part of your TBR, and anything that is part of your TBR is going to work towards this challenge. Obviously, this challenge also assumes that you have already 52 books on your physical or your virtual TBR because you are only allowed to use one book per prompt. Now, to make it just a tiny bit easier, just a little bit, and to give you some flexibility, for every 10 books you read, I will allow one double up. So that will roughly equate to about 5 double ups for the entire year. So you might want to use them strategically. Now, what happens if you encounter a prompt and you just don't have anything on your TBR that is going to work for it? I will say that the prompts for this challenge are meant to be very general and vague, right? Because it wouldn't really do for me to create oddly specific and unique prompts because a lot of people are probably not going to be able to satisfy them. So I did try to make these prompts as general and vague as possible. But if you really can't find a book on your TBR that fits the prompt as written, just find something that you think maybe fits the spirit of the prompt, maybe interpret the prompt in a little bit of a different way to find a book to satisfy it. If you really just can't find a way to fit the prompt with a book on your TBR, then I'm going to give you a little bit of a freebie, and I'm just going to say, if you really can't find something to fit the prompt, read any book from your TBR and you will be able to satisfy that slot. As long as you are working on lowering your physical TBR, I'm not going to care too terribly much how you do that. And to make this a little bit more interesting, add a little bit of spice, a little bit of incentive, I am going to be taking everybody who successfully completes the reading challenge, whether you use the double ups or not, everybody who successfully completes all 52 reading prompts for this challenge, you are going to be entered into a giveaway. And at the end of 2026, or maybe even more likely at the very beginning of 2027, just to give you as many days as possible to complete the challenge. At the beginning of 2027, I'm going to put all of the names into a giveaway. I'm going to pull the winner, and that winner is going to win a book off of their wish list. Once again, adding a book to your TBR that you could potentially use for 2027's challenge. So again, if you successfully complete all 52 prompts, your name will be put into a giveaway, and I will draw the winner at the very beginning of 2027. Maybe it'll be like a New Year's Day thing. I will announce the winner on New Year's Day. So that just, like I said, adds a little bit of spice, a little bit of incentive to the reading challenge. I will be creating a Google form where you are going to be able to make your bookish submissions. And my intention is to have all 52 prompts on one form, and that will give people the option of either submitting the prompts as they go or submitting them all at once. It is going to be your choice how you do that, but I will also try to include a space for you to put whether or not you used your double up. And if you did use your double up, you're going to have to put which 2 prompts you used one book book for, if that makes sense. So it will all be on a Google Sheet. I will likely make you put your email address within the sheet just so that you are getting submissions for when you submit a book, because this is not something that I'm going to police, right? It's not something that I'm going to be carefully monitoring. It is going to be up to you to really keep track of what you have submitted and what you have not submitted, right? So you're really going to have to be careful about that. And the easiest way I found to do that is for you to get email confirmations when you've submitted the form. So without further ado, let's go ahead and run through these prompts. There are 52 of them, so I'm going to try not to take too terribly long. And like I said, a lot of them are very simple and self-explanatory. Prompt number 1, read a book with a cover that primarily features blue or green. And typically what I mean by prominently is about like 51% or more of the cover has to be either blue or green, or maybe like a blue-green color. Prompt number 2, read a book that is set in a non-Western country. Question number 3, pick a book whose title is a single word, and it just has to be one word and one word only. It cannot have the, a, or anything else in front of it. It just has to be one word. Number 4, select a book that features a map. Challenge number 5, read the 26th book on your TBR when sorted alphabetically. Now, obviously, prompts like this assume that you have your TBR plugged into a tool like Goodreads, right? Where you are able to sort your TBR by different ways and then count and select the books that way. If you don't have your TBR plugged into something like Goodreads or StoryGraph, that is obviously fine. It is not mandatory for you to do so. You're just going to have to be flexible with prompts like these. So maybe if you don't have your TBR on Goodreads or StoryGraph and you don't have it sorted alphabetically, maybe you just read the 26th book on your TBR. Or maybe you do take your TBR and put it alphabetically and then do the 26th book on your TBR, if that makes sense. Prompt number 6 is to choose a book that was recommended to you by a friend or family member, and you can absolutely use your favorite booktuber as a friend in this instance. Prompt number 7 is to read a book whose title features a number. And then following that, prompt number 8 is to read a book whose title features a name. Now, this can be any type of name. It could be the name of a person, like a character within the book. It could be the name of a place, etc. It just has to have a proper name in the title. Prompt number 9 is to read a book where food or drink is featured on the cover or in the title. Prompt number 10 is to read a book that you added to your TBR more than 3 years ago. Now, if you don't have a book that was added to your TBR more than 3 years ago, good for you. You're welcome to just read the oldest book that is on your TBR. Prompt number 11 is to read a book that has a title that is more than 5 words. So we had the one-word title, but now you have a longer title, more than 5 words long. Number 12 is to read a book that was written by 2 or more authors. Now, this can be a book where the authors are identified separately on the cover, or it could be an author that uses a pen name to cover both of them. So for example, Christina Lauren would work for this because it is 2 women who are writing under one name. Question number 13, read a book that features a school or university setting at some point within the story. Prompt number 14 is to read a book that has been adapted into a television series or a movie. Number 15, read a book that has won some type of literary prize. It could be like a highbrow literary prize like the Booker, or it could just be something like Goodreads or Book of the Year, just something that has won some type of literary prize. Question number 16, pick a book from your TBR that features a character that is going on a journey or a quest. Now, you can take this literally, whereas they are going on a physical journey for some type of purpose, or it can be something that's a little bit more metaphorical, like maybe they are going on an emotional or spiritual journey. These next 3 questions are related because they are featuring page count. So number 17 is to select a book that is between 200 and 350 pages. Prompt number 18 is to select a book between 350 and 500 pages. And then number 19 is to read a book that is over 500 pages. Prompt number 20 is to read a book with flowers on the cover, a botanical cover, if you will. Prompt number 21 is to read a book with a title that starts and ends with the same letter. Prompt number 22 is to read a book that is set around a holiday or festival of some type. Prompt number 23 is to read a book that heavily features sibling dynamics. Prompt number 24, select the 13th book on your TBR by date added. So again, this is another prompt that assumes you have your TBR plugged into Goodreads or StoryGraph. If you don't, just select the 13th book on your TBR when you're counting it out or scrolling through your Kindle or something to that effect. Prompt number 25 is to read a book where the font is in all capital letters. Prompt number 26, choose a book by an author who shares your zodiac sign. Prompt number 27 is to read a book that was published during a leap year. Prompt number 28 is to simply read a genre blend, any genre blend of your choice. Prompt number 29 is choose a book with a time of day in the title. So maybe it just literally says day, noon, night, something to that effect. Prompt number 30 is to read the shortest book on your TBR. Prompt number 31, pick the 8th most recently added book on your TBR. Prompt number 32 is choose a book with a scene from nature on the cover. So the cover has to be primarily set outdoors. Prompt number 33, choose a book with a dual timeline or past-present structure. Prompt number 34, select a book where the characters are trapped, isolated, or snowed in. So a book basically with an isolated setting. Prompt number 35 is to choose a book that intimidates you for any reason. It doesn't have to be because of the size of the book. It can intimidate you for any reason. Maybe it's a book that you're interested in, but it's outside of your comfort zone, and so you're not sure if you're going to love it. Maybe it's a book that was gifted to you by a friend and you don't think that you're gonna love it and you've been kind of procrastinating on it. Maybe it's actually a highly anticipated book for you, but you're worried that it's going to disappoint you, so you have been procrastinating on it. Basically, a book that you have been procrastinating on because you find it intimidating in some way. Read a book that intimidates you. Prompt number 36, read a book by an author on your TBR who you have not previously read from before. Prompt number 37, read a book that features a main character that has a chronic illness or disability. Prompt number 38, start a series. So read the first book in a series. Prompt number 39, read a book that was published during the year of the horse, because 2026 is going to be the year of the horse. So this is perfect for when you do buy those books in 2026. But obviously you can read a book that was published in any other year of the horse. Question number 40 is to read a beautiful book or a special edition. I'm sure we all have some of those. Question number 41, read a book by an author who you have multiple books of on your TBR. So this could potentially double up with that other prompt of reading an author that you've never read from before, right? Maybe you have multiple books by an author that you have never read from before. Or maybe this is an author that you love, and so you have multiple books on your TBR. You just have to have, I would say, at least 3 books by this author on your TBR. Question number 42, read the next book in a series. So this is a series that you have already started and you need to read the next book to make progress in that series. Prompt number 43 is simply to read a book by a BIPOC author. Question number 44 is to read a book that features LGBTQIAP+ protagonists. Number 5 is to read a book that has a weird or intriguing title. Obviously, this is very subjective or up to interpretation, but read a book that you think has a title that is a bit unusual. Question number 46, read a book that has an alliterative title. Prompt number 48 is to read one of those impulse buys, something that you maybe saw in a store, thought it had a beautiful cover, and you picked it up, not knowing anything about it. Or maybe read a book that you picked up and you'd never heard from before, but it did sound interesting, so you randomly grabbed it even though it was not on your radar to begin with. Prompt number 49 is to read a book that you know is going to feature one of your favorite tropes. Prompt number 50 is to read a book that is set in a location that you would like to visit someday, and I will allow the location to be a fictional one. Prompt number 51 is to read a book you meant to read last year and never got around to. So maybe this is a book that was on one of last year's TBRs and you never got around to it. Or maybe it was a book that you were highly anticipating last year and had every intention of reading and just never got around to it. And then the final prompt for this round of the TBR Takedown is to simply read a book that you were influenced to buy. So maybe this is a book that you saw going all the way around BookTube, Book Talk, and it's just everybody is talking about it and you really want to be in on that conversation. You are feeling the FOMO. So basically just something that you might not have otherwise bought had you not seen it so widely touted within the online bookish community. That is going to be the final prompt for this challenge. All right, everybody, and there you have it. Those are the 52 prompts for TBR Takedown 2026. Like I said, for the most part, pretty straightforward and easy to understand. It is not complicated at all, and there are only a few simple rules that you have to follow in order to successfully meet the spirit of the challenge. Like I said, I will have a form stack linked down below where you can start logging your books. Obviously, this challenge starts on January 1st, 2026, and it ends at midnight on December 31st, 2026. And I will try to draw a winner for the giveaway as soon as possible in January. So I hope that you're excited. I hope to see a lot of people participate in this challenge. This is just supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be an additional way that you can select books from your TBR without having to use like a spinner wheel or something to that effect. You can participate in this challenge as much or as little as you want. Of course, if you want to enter the giveaway, you have to do all of the prompts, but it is up to you how little or how much you participate in the challenge. It is just supposed to be a fun, good time. If you have any questions or feedback about this challenge, please feel free to leave that down below. I will do my best to answer any questions that you have as promptly as possible. Or if you've made it to the end of this video and you are not feeling chatty, go ahead and just leave me a book stack emoji in honor of all the books that you will have to read as part of this challenge. And as always, if you like this video or if you just like me, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's free for you, but it helps me and my channel out so much. And as always, I would like to give a very special shout out to my patrons who I love and appreciate. I would not be able to create this content without you. If you are interested in joining our small community over on Patreon, I always have that linked down below along with all of my other social media and any books I might feature in a video. Until the next Bookmas video, y'all. Bye.